Welcome everyone to the Robotech panel at the Long Beach Comic Expo. This is actually the first time we've ever done the Spring Expo. We usually here during the. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Hi.
Steve has all the giveaways, so that's why
everybody wants it.
Everybody wants it. And we're grateful that you're here because this is also Robotech's 30th anniversary. I know it's hard to believe that Robotech is actually 30 years old now. So, how many of you have been to our panels before? Only 3 of you. All right. Wow. And I know exactly who you guys are. So you're actually kind of new to our panel. Actually, okay, because that actually helps me tailor the panel because I want to make sure that we have incremental changes between, as we go through the year, and I want to make sure it's not too repetitive for those of you. But for those of you who are all new, we've got a great show for you today. I'm Tommy Yoon. I'm President of Animation at Harmony Gold USA. I worked on recent projects such as Robotech The Shadow Chronicles and Love Live Alive. And here with me is Steve Yoon. He's the VP of New Media at Harmony Gold. He co-wrote Robotech The Shadow Chronicles, and he was also the associate producer on Love Live Alive. And our newest staffer here is Douglas Wooten. He is our media editor at Harmony Gold USA. He works on our digital production projects, and he's actually been influential in working with our licensee on the RPG Tactics game. And so, very grateful to have him here with us. Yes. Do you want something? Oh, okay. If you wanted it, I don't have any cookies. So, anyway, thank you for joining us. Now, how many of you are all fairly familiar with Robotech? Okay, how many of you just kind of remember it from your childhood, but still a fan, or kind of remember it? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so here's actually a good intro to Robotech that was produced by one of our video partners, so we'll play this back for you. Have followed all 85 episodes, all right, and we're tortured because you want to see what happened after Scott Bernard went into space. There were a few continuations of Robotech that occurred since then. How many of you have seen Robotech The Shadow Chronicles? All right. Wow, and a minority of you. And how many of you saw Love Live Alive, which was produced more recently? Wow. All right. So here, we're going to give you a little introduction. Robotech The Shadow Chronicles and Love Live Alive. This is a quick snippet that we have here. Home video now. And but the recent pushes that we've had, we're going to talk a little bit about new product, but we'll also come back and have time to answer questions for you, for those of you who are interested in about the wide range of product we have. Our recent big push is the Robotech role-playing games. This was something that was a huge collector's item in the 90s. So this is like one of the rarest collector's item among Robotech collectors. And 90s was kind of a dormant period for Robotech, but in the past decade we've had a big expansion of new product. And through Kickstarter, we actually had Palladium, one of our licensees, expand their huge product line. It was a huge, huge success on Kickstarter. And they're starting to ship the product now. Initially, they were just going to have like the starter kit for $70,000 worth of funding, but the fans actually helped raise $1.4 million. And so with all that, they had huge expansion packs with all sorts of obscure mecha, like even the this rare drone mecha that you only see in the first episode and some obscure episode later for 20 seconds total in the whole series, is now being made. And actually Douglas here has some of the examples here of some of the fan-produced finished product. Yeah.
This is part of Wave 1. It was broken up into 2 groups. That way they can get all the production done in time to get people started, and then a second production to help everybody expand their universe of it as well.
Yeah, so you can see from this example here, the way they ship it, it's actually somewhat similar to model kits. And basically fans can customize the poses and how they want their RPG game pieces to be presented. So this is the 1:285 scale, which, Mech Warrior fans, it's kind of like that nice convenient Micro Machine size. And this is all shipping from Palladium now. And for those of you familiar with the Palladium name, they've actually been with Robotech ever since the 80s. They used to do the Robotech role-playing games way back then. And so these are guys who are just really love and are dedicated to Robotech. And so this is Kevin Simbita, the founder of Palladium, posing with this product that's shipping right now. So this is totally awesome. And for all the fans who are, asking, oh, come on, when can the Southern Cross get some love? Of course, they started out with the Macross saga first, and they're working their way through the saga. So expect to see, something set up for the Southern Cross, and the new generation in the future. So here's some of the examples of the really great, custom work being done by all the RPG fans and being posted on the internet. If you guys want to see more of this for yourself for inspiration and ideas, come to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Robotech. And also because this is the 30th anniversary, we've got a great range of new Robotech toys. And this is the newest 30th anniversary releases of the 1/100 scale mecha. Before, they were doing a lot of the larger scale mecha around the 155 scale, which was much larger. But of course, those prices kept going up and up and up. Initially at the beginning of the last decade, they were about $79.95. By the time it got to Beta Fighters, they were $150. And then when they were doing the 115 scale Cyclones, they were breaking $200. And so I know some fans were crying uncle in terms of cost. With this, the MSRP of these things, depending on how many, fast pack add-ons and accessories you have, they're somewhere between, $19.95 to $29.95 that you can find in stores. So the price point is really nice. So it's like a good impulse buy, and you can get a greater range of toys instead of just trying to pick which one I'm going to get. You can just get this whole set. So this is really nice, and they're also working on, obscure mecha because the price is so low, such as the early warning mecha with the radar dish, etc. So expect to see some of that coming up soon. And so here's the lineup that they had for the New York Toy Fair. And also they're doing blind box figurines. So at point of purchase, for those of you who like the really small, cheap, under $10 stuff, they're doing these blind boxes where each time you get a random mecha inside. But the thing is, even though they're small, the quality of the production is really nice. Here's some of the CG work that they've been doing for the mecha. And actually, they've expanded that line because it was so successful. Actually, I'll show you some of the process that they go through for making these toys. So first, they start with a 3D model. Then this is the 3D printed prototype. So you can actually see the texture coming out of the 3D printer. And so they're now, because because of the low cost, and expanding the range, they've got the rare armored Veritech, which if you tried to find it on eBay, it'd be super expensive. But now they're going to expand that lineup into the toys. And even though they're very small, look at the amount of detail they're doing. They even have the cockpit gimmick. Remember when Rick Hunter basically came out of the back of the Veritech's neck in the Countdown episode when he met Minmay for the first time? So they're even going to that level of detail with these toys. And this is what the finished product looks like. So it looks really nice. So there's two versions of them doing. They're doing a smaller, all-in-one piece version that goes into the blind box, going to be under $10. And then they're doing a more expensive articulated version. And they unveiled this at the New York Toy Fair. They're going to be that cute, super deformed style. It's going to be small, more expensive, but you get a lot of posability with them. And here's their display at the New York Toy Fair. So this is going to be a nice add-on. Anybody remember those super deformed toys that Matchbox did back in the 80s? Yeah, so it's going to be kind of akin to that. And of course, along with the 1/100 scale, in the standard proportions. So we've got a lot of cool 30th anniversary stuff coming out from Toynami this year. And plushies. So this way you can throw your toys at someone else and not worry about a lawsuit in the state of California. And
Great for waking up your friends too.
yeah. For those of you who are into the Jack McKinney novels, how many Jack McKinney fans here? Okay, pretty good number. The books have gotten really, really hard to find. We admit that. And when we had the stuff come back on DVD, we had all the original 12 books that comprised the original series compiled into omnibus editions. And these were made available as both ebooks and mass market paperbacks, which collected these stories. So instead of having to track down all 12 books, now you just have 4 books, 2 for the Macross Saga and 1 each for the entire Southern Cross or New Generation.
I'm not here, not here.
That was a great panel.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Lady J right there. That's Lady J.
Yo, Joe, everybody.
Yo, Joe!
As you were.
Who proved that girls with glasses can still be very, very attractive. Right? All right. So, we had that available, but then there were Jack McKinney fans who asked us, well, what about the really obscure books, like the in-between novels and the Sentinels and so forth? Well, as we worked on having new updated editions for ebooks, we also worked with Del Rey on getting all these obscure books, because now we don't have to worry about minimum print runs, no more paper, everybody gets it on their Kindle or their iPads. And so now we've got all the really obscure novels, such as the Zentradi Rebellion, which was in between the first and second generation, then the Sentinels novels, and then before the Invid Storm, which was between the second and third generation. And then for those of you who are into Splinter of the Mind's Eye style, alternate universe stories, let's see, we have End of the Circle. So fans were kind of split on the interesting resolution to the Sentinel series in this, but you know what the heck, we'll have it out there. Let fans all read and judge for themselves. So it's all out there in ebook form, available now. And for comics, yeah, I know. This was our big release last year, and got a lot of attention, Robotech versus Voltron. And when we had this come out, everybody was like, huh? Where are you going with this? And we had not done a crossover with Robotech for a long, long time. We had actually proposals before, hey, why don't you do a crossover idea, this, that. And most of the time we would kind of grimace a little bit, because a lot of the time the crossover idea would just be a punchline. You'd have a punchline and then several issues of everybody beating each other up, and really nothing interesting that you learn about the characters. And so one thing we wanted to do about this is we wanted to learn something very interesting. We wanted to learn more about the characters in the process of the story. And so for Roy Fokker, if we were going to do a crossover mashup and we change continuity on both sides and just make a big, huge continuity mess, let's make it interesting. Let's learn something about the characters. And so what we did was, in the events of the universes crossing over, we flipped things around. Like, what if Roy lived to become a senior officer and Rick was gone? What would happen to the Robotech universe, and so forth. And so here we have this going on, and what would be the world of Voltron for those of you Voltron fans? What would Eris have been like without Voltron? And so here were our edicts, because we were going to make this a throwback series. We had to have monsters and robots, mullets, and mice.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you need. And so here's some of the great artwork we have in here. And we were so happy we found the artist Elmer Damaso, who was the lead artist on the series, and he did an awesome job. And here, also for fans of Voltron, them always wondering, hey, wait, Allura, when she needs advice, she's always talking to the ghost of her dead dad, the king. So everybody, why is it that Voltron fans never ask, why is the king dead? So we kind of explore a little bit about this in this series. And you see characters like Allura, Prime Minister Kran, a lot of the characters that you know and love in their youth. And then same thing on the Robotech side. You find out how Roy was adopted into the Hunter family. You're always wondering, they call each other brothers, but they have different last names. What's up with that? And so we even actually go far back into the backstories as their respective fathers. Which in our story, yeah. So you can read the little details where this is occurring, but you can read the book series for yourself. It's an awesome story, and some of the great design work that Elmer did for the series, like fast packs for the Voltron Lions. Yes, you heard that right. And here's some of the artwork from Voltron Robotech number 3, Robotech Voltron number 4. This is the SDF-1 entering into the Voltron universe. Let's see. Oh yeah, Zentradi trying to steal one of the lions. So it's a big mashup. And the complete series is actually now available through Comixology. So it's available now. And now, for fans who are really interested in our comic series, they were asking us, hey, wait, what about Udon? Because Udon had always worked with us on all the Robotech comics in the past. And they did a great job on the past Robotech comics. What about their involvement in Robotech? What's happened with them? And actually, they're really busy right now. One of the big new categories that they've opened up is art books from Japan. Like, there's lots of fans on eBay who like to buy nice Japanese art books, but they've got great art. Unfortunately, all the technical information in there is in Japanese, so one of the things they started doing was the art book import business, where they were localizing everything for the American audience. And so we're like, what the heck? Let's get these guys to do Robotech Art 1, 2, and 3. Remember all those books back then? But let's get them to do a better translation, get the original Japanese model sheets, get a more complete version of the Robotech art books for the Robotech fans now. And so that's what they're actually working on right now. It's a huge, huge project. It's going to take them a while, but as time goes on, we're going to announce more information about the work that they're doing. And the stuff they're doing already, looks great. And they're doing an incredible amount of research. A lot of them are bilingual, and so they're going into a lot of material, some of which has not even been published either in Japan or the United States. So we'll have some great stuff coming out from them. So this is something that they're working on, and they're basically racing to have the first edition, which is going to have a lot of Macross Saga materials ready for the Robotech's 30th anniversary. Now, what about animated Robotech? I think I touched on to this already a little bit. We worked on Robotech The Shadow Chronicles as a continuation from the 85th episode. And we also worked on Love Live Alive, which was built on the OVA. How many of you heard of Maspida Love Live Alive, the Japanese OVA? How many of you know what OVAs are? Of course, you all know. Okay, so the New Generation series was based on Maspida, which was a separate, one of the 3 component series. But there was actually an OVA for Maspida that was released in Japan, but never got released in the US. And if any of you follow Space Cruiser Yamato, they like to do a retroactive OVA at the end of those series. And they did a great one for Maspida, but it never got released here. And we were like, no duh, let's get this out for the American audience and get it translated into English, get the original voice actors back. And we did that, and that became Robotech Love Live Alive. And we added a little bit more animation in there. But then there were fans who asked us, well, what about the Sentinels? We had a lot of fans ask us about that. And one of the issues with the Sentinels is that when Robotech originally came out, the reason why everybody was racing back home after school to watch the original run of Robotech was Robotech was an extremely linear series, and this was decades before Game of Thrones. It wasn't written as individual episodes. It was a very linear series. And so everybody wanted to find out what happened next, and this was unheard of for traditional animated series in the US back then. And Sentinel was also being written that way, but because Sentinel's comics and novels had already come out, everybody kind of already knew how the story was going to play out. And we had actually gotten Carl on board to try to see what he could do to salvage a lot of the ideas in Sentinels, but give it a twist and make it interesting for our Robotech fan base out there. And so he came up with this great idea, and we'll show a little bit of in a little bit. But for those of you who want all the Robotech animation so far and catch up, this is the 2013 box. It came out the Christmas before the one that just passed. It contains everything, all the movies up to Love Live Alive, the series, all the extras, even the Sentinels. It's all in there, and we've had these releases worldwide. Oh yeah, and here's a trailer we did for Love Live Alive. We even did it throwback 80s style. So here's the. We decided to make it feel like you're time traveling back into 1985. And we tracked down all the original voice actors to reprise all their roles, which was, you know, you hear about some series that go on, you know, it seems like the producers just don't really care, but in this case it was really important for that continuity for fans to hear a lot of familiar voices. In fact, we even had trouble tracking down the narrator because everybody kept telling us he was dead. And then, when we finally found him, he was like, "What? No, my hip went out. How come everybody thinks I'm dead?" You know?
Car crash.
Yeah.
He had a car crash.
Yeah.
So,
And what was funny was we were like, "How do you know he's dead?" And the folks who had worked with him said, "Yeah, we thought he had one foot in the grave back in '85." But apparently he's in good shape. And what's interesting was when we first got in touch with him, he's like from the Midwest, he's from the Nebraska, and he has this Nebraska twang, and he sounded nothing like the narrator. And I tracked, you know, we also got the original voice director, who voice directed him back in '85, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember, yeah, give me about 20 minutes to rehearse with him, I'll get his original voice back." And apparently he had to tell him to suck up, stick out his chest, whatever, until he could get his original voice, which even he didn't remember what his voice from Robotech sounded back then. He was like, "Can you send me some, you know, tapes of my old voice so I can hear it?" So here, let me give you an example. Here's him talking about what his work. The very talented narrator. So we're gonna try to get as much work out of him as we, you know, physically can.
because apparently he has
Read
a
these
foot
phrases.
Hey, but he's got a voice of gold. I gotta say, yeah.
He's going to be, what, 100, and we're still going to be...
Yeah, by the time we're dead, he's probably going to still be working. Oh, actually, no, to show you how long his career goes, when I finally found his website, it said that he broke into the business working with Lucille Ball. So that's how long he's been working. A lot of fans who saw a lot of our behind-the-scenes making-ofs kept complaining to us, "Hey, wait, how come, you know, all the making-ofs are done now while the actors are old? Don't you have a making-of that was done back in the '80s when they were actually making it?" And of course, you know, unless we have a time machine, you know, how are you going to do that? Except we got really lucky with this gentleman. Can you raise your hand, Dexter? Yeah. He actually recorded a making-of with the original crew back in the '80s, and he submitted it as a student film. And then that was it, decades ago, except nobody saw it except the faculty at Palomar College. And so when I found out that he did this back then, I actually, you know, we were actually trying to contact the folks at Palomar College to find out what happened to this. And the folks there were like, "Well, we moved to digital and all that analog stuff, we threw most of it away. What are you looking for?" And I'm just paraphrasing here, and I was like, "Yeah, we're looking for Robotech." And you're like, "Oh yeah, that was kind of interesting. That was like one of the things we saved." So they threw away everything except Robotech, you know, among other things. And so we were able to get this backup and actually get the original crew while they were working back then. So here, there, and she's still hot today. Oh, and she'll be at Tulare Sci-Fi Con next weekend. So those of you who are willing to make a drive out a couple hours north of LA, she and Tony Oliver, the respective voices of Rick and Minmay, are actually getting together for a little mini Robotech reunion up in Tulare. So just letting you guys know. So now, next in the pipeline, where does Robotech go after this? You know, I did mention a little about Carl trying to salvage some great ideas that he had of the Sentinels. Oh, before we get to that, oh yeah, another series we're working on, Deep Sea 7. This is being voice directed by Greg Snegoff. He did the adaptation of this. This is another animated series that he's working on with. He co-wrote this with Art White Chamberlain, who co-wrote Robotech the Sentinels. And so it's actually as if they have the original Robotech adaptation crew and the original Robotech cast working on this animated series, and it's being produced in partnership with Lion Forge Entertainment. So we'll just give you a short couple minutes clip here. It's really snappy, so we look forward to that coming up. Oh yeah. Anyway, back to Robotech again.